What's up, everybody? It's another NFC show, episode 52, and we're broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and, of course, on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network on our new Roku channel. Definitely download it and check it out. I'm back this week from
special assignment,
the basketball game last week, and I appreciate everybody, holding down the show without me. I know that you guys missed me terribly because I have a lot to ask. As everybody got to see my video of how I felt about somebody going to Washington over the last 2 weeks.
Kind of almost makes you want to wince a little bit, right? Like what happened? What is that?
What you looking at?
So I have to ask. I'm going to start this off because I missed it last week, and I feel like I definitely should have been here for this. So what's the word down in Washington about your new quarterback?
Oh, he's going to lead us to a Super Bowl.
and you know what sucks? Wait, we're laughing now. We're laughing now. Watch if that were to happen. I'm just saying.
I'm going to put. So, how soon do you think that that's going to happen? And what would be the moratorium on that gamble? Because I'll take that bet.
I was kidding.
I know that you were. Yeah. I'm just asking. I was asking Sneaky G.
Oh God! What? Please. That'd be like me picking the Bengals to make it to the Super Bowl last year. Yeah.
No, I mean, I wasn't happy about the trade at first, just because, I mean, we took on his $28 million, and which, we had a cap of 33, so that cut it down to 5. So, it's going to be tough sledding to bring some players in now.
Well, and now that it's, just to bring in a couple of extra players, which, I understand as I adjust my new microphone here. Excuse me. Now that I got it working right and I figured out how to do all these things.
That makes two of us.
Exactly. I'm like, ooh, look at this. It's a new shiny thing here that I got working. Ooh. Anyways, I mean, obviously you guys have a pretty good defense, and I don't remember your offensive line being anything really worthwhile, because I don't remember your quarterback really doing anything that was spectacular either. And I really, to be honest, as far as the trade itself, I mean, you got him for nothing.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, like I said, the only thing I didn't like was taking on that 28 mil cap hit this year.
How many years is it? How many years do you got him? If you were to stay the whole time?
3.
3 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's going to be a quarterback competition?
Oh no, they've already said he's going to be the starter.
So he's going to be the starter. So
Who's
who's going to be the backup then?
It'll be Heineke.
So what happens with Fitzpatrick?
Oh no, he was on a 1-year deal.
Okay.
He was only there.
I actually think Fitzpatrick would be, because they've been talking a lot about how Gardner Minshew has been in a lot of trade rumors, and that he's, I mean, I had heard something earlier today on Twitter that came from a fake source that they had traded Font and a 5th-round pick from Seattle to go for Gardner Minshew, and then of course that was fake. So, I mean, we did sign somebody today, which was really nice, and we can get to in a little bit. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that the Cowboys seem to be losing people left and right.
Oh, we've been losing them, all right.
That was bound to happen. Is Gregory still?
Gregory's still in limbo right now. DeMarcus Lawrence, D-Law, just re-upped the contract to make some cap space. $30 million guaranteed, so he's tied up for the next 3 years. That was a big one for us as well.
Yeah, because that is like instead
Cedric Wilson.
Cedric Wilson, yeah, he went to the Miami Dolphins on a multi-year deal, $23 million or something like that.
Yeah,
I think what's going on is, well, I don't think I know what's going on. I think Dak Prescott has a lot of pull of what's going on with the offense. I think he's making the decisions on which receivers he's wanting to keep and which ones he's wanting to move away from. And those last two were Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper were two that he was ready to move on from.
Wait. Wow. Okay. I want you to pretend you're Dak Prescott. Okay.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper.
Best route runner.
Lamb, right?
Yeah, I understand
and Gallup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gallup just got a big payday.
Yep.
Right.
That he did.
Shout out Gallup. Way to get the bag. Just that trio alone. I wonder what was the thought process of Dak not wanting Amari Cooper, arguably one of the best route runners in the NFL. I don't even. I would say
there's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of gossip behind the scenes after that San Francisco game. I don't know if y'all have heard the rumor, but
enlighten me, please.
Well, it's something I'd rather
if
not
you can,
repeat.
if or at a later, maybe in a different platform.
I'll text you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's hearsay, but it's a lot of what was going on behind the back scene after that San Francisco game at the team meeting that was said. And I think it was just boiling over, and I think both wanted to part, each other. And of course, with the big contract that Dak had, I think that's one of the reasons that Amari was to be headed out the door, which he did to Cleveland.
I'm going to say this too. I'm going to say it. I believe, and I'm not saying this because I don't like the Cowboys. I mean, everybody knows. I think everybody and their mamas know that I hate the Cowboys. Okay, that goes without saying.
I don't know. I saw you. I saw you at the stadium. I saw you go to a playoff game.
You should really try some of this. It's 2-ply. They did, in my opinion, Amari Cooper dirty. I think they did him dirty. Now, I'm not saying. I'm just going to say they did him dirty. I mean, they shipped him off to the Browns for what a 4 and a 6.
6, yep.
5 and a 6.
A 5 and a 6.
And they picked up his contract.
I mean, I don't think any other team would have done that. And of course, today, I don't know if you guys heard, that Landry is out.
Yeah.
They
cut him.
They cut him because with the addition of Amari, which I would think those two should work, but who am I?
They're trying to change the whole narrative there. This is that they're making it so that this is his last chance. Absolutely his last chance. And when I mean that, I'm talking about Baker
Baker?
Mayfield's.
Yeah.
Baker's last chance. They wanted to get rid of all the people that because everybody. So this is sort of the residual of the OBJ. You know what I mean? That OBJ sort of tainted that whole wide receiver crew. So they're doing a whole changeover. And that's now how this is going to play out. So if it doesn't work this year, it's no longer the receiver's fault. It's Baker's fault. And that's what they've decided to do. I feel like that's a good way of doing it. However, it's odd. You know, it's like just not something that you would normally do. That, hey, we're going to just switch out our whole wide receiver crew because they didn't get along with the quarterback. Which brings me back to Wentz and why they got traded to Washington, because it sounded like to me, and the word came out that the team was willing to go 0-17 than to play with him again. And that is something that is odd to hear.
Well,
like that,
especially when he wanted to go where his old coordinator was. I mean, the quarterback.
I heard there was differences between Irsay and Wentz about the whole vaccination.
So, but is the vaccination what caused all this? Is that what happened?
Well,
I mean,
I
don't
probably
think
led to it. I could see where it led to it.
Yeah,
it was probably. I mean, that was the first step, and then who knows what the second step was. But my understanding was him and Frank Wright were not on the same page, although he wanted to go to Indianapolis because of Frank Wright, because of the relationship that they had in 2017 when they won that Super Bowl.
Right.
But apparently that wasn't the case. I mean, that's, to me, that's kind of odd. 1 year with your guy, and you're going to part ways.
Well, I think that so here's been the problem with Wentz ever since the Super Bowl, is that every pass he's thrown since then has been trying to win the Super Bowl. And that was the problem that he had in Philadelphia, like that next year, and then even the following year, and then even switching out into the next year. And he tried to recreate. So this goes back to a little bit of things that I mentioned before on the broadcast, where I was talking about that the one thing that kind of happened amongst the Eagles that season was that there was a very religious undertone to the entire team, interestingly enough. And a lot of that came from both Foles and Wentz. They both were acting as pastors for the team. And that during that season, a lot of the teammates were getting baptized. And, you know, say what you want about religion. I'm not trying to change this to a religious conversation. But what I am saying is that when you start to get everybody on the same page, and even in a biblical sense, you start to move mountains. And Frank Reich is also a very religious guy. Yep. So now you've got...
So is Peterson.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that was once he started to lose faith in Peterson, so to speak, he thought that Frank Reich would be the answer. And so did Frank Reich a little bit. Frank Reich was like, hey, well, we need a quarterback. And obviously, because I got, screwed with the fact that I was supposed to have Andrew Luck and now I don't. And now I got to, makeshift. Let's bring in Wentz. It's not going to cost us that much in the grand scheme of things. It's only a number 1 pick or number 2 pick, that they wish they probably, if they could think about it now, they may have pulled him a lot sooner not to give the number 1 pick. But
they were in the playoff race at that time.
Well, that's the problem. If they still made the playoffs and he played 70% of the snaps, they still would have had to give up the number 1, whether he was the starter or not.
Right.
So, but ultimately, I think that's he tried to recreate that whole scene in that locker room, and that locker room ain't the same locker room as it was in 2017 for the Eagles.
So I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to speak a little bit on experience on a little bit of what you're talking about. Now, I've been a part of teams where the majority, or if not more than half, I mean, that would be considered majority, have somewhat of a religious tone, if you will. You know, they pray before the game. They pray at the 50-yard line. They pray before meals. I mean, I've been a part of teams, you know, high school, semi-pro, and even as small as, you know, flag football teams. I think not only just the religious aspect of it, anything that you get or anything that the team buys off on and it's working, I think it plays into the locker room. So I'm not saying that, you know, having that religious tone didn't help them propel them to win the Super Bowl. But all I'm saying is anything that, because, you know, players are very superstitious. And if they realize what they did this week worked the next week, and then it just keeps falling into place, you know, the balls go their way, the calls go their way, games go their way, that they just tend to, you know, okay, well, let's continue that habit, you know, because we are natures of habit. But Wentz
plus,
is,
but plus also just to elaborate even a little bit more on that. I mean, this is a violent game, you know, and
right,
to just kind of hope, you know, to give a second thought to a higher power, just to kind of keep yourself safe.
right,
In this.
right, of course.
That's kind of what some of that comes from and stems from, I would think. You know, I mean, some of them may have like real religious, you know, thought processes, but I mean, ultimately, it's like, I mean, I'm not a very overly religious guy, but if somebody gets into an accident, you kind of you know, say a little prayer to somebody, to something, to just make sure everybody's okay.
Well, I'm sorry, and I know I'm long-winded. The point I was trying to make is there are some players that don't want to participate in that ritual, if you will. Thus, when he went to the Colts, and I'm only going by what you said, maybe a lot of those players were like, "Yeah, well, no, we're not doing that here," for whatever reason.
Right.
So maybe there was a sense of, you know, he was being maybe felt a little uncomfortable. Because
well, I did hear that he didn't have that type of relationship with his players at the Colts, you know, on the Colts.
Right. And that has a lot to do with this here. You know what I mean? So if you don't have that type of camaraderie, you know, if you don't go drink, like, you know, somebody told me at one point, a team that drinks together wins together. And there's a lot to be said about that. Well, if you ain't a drinker, you know, if you you got to either figure out that you can go and hang with these guys with a glass of water, or you ain't hanging with them.
Right.
Who's in the airport, by the way?
It's jets flying over, man. I live near a Navy base, so there's jets flying over all the time.
Hey, I'm all right with the Navy base, so there we go.
Danny,
Navy beat Army.
Shout out, Danny. So he's asking me, can we talk about how Kirk Cousins keeps finessing these one-year deals?
$230 million since 2017.
How is the man? I mean, the thing is that Zimmerman didn't want him. It turns out Zimmerman hated him. Okay. But he keeps getting these. Matter of fact, didn't the football team at the time it was the Redskins? You guys tagged him what, twice?
Twice, yeah.
And then finally,
he's just a guy who believes in himself, and that's all that matters in this league.
Because, you like that? You like that? I mean, exactly. I like that. I ain't gonna lie. I liked it when he said that. I'm like, yeah, okay.
But that's how Jeff George made a living.
Yeah,
in this league. Exactly. I mean, I didn't think he was a good quarterback at all.
Jeff George pissed off everybody. Every team he went to.
Hey, Dan Snyder fell for him the first year he was an owner.
Yeah,
Jeff George or Cousins, because he did both.
I just think with Carson Wentz back in the NFC East, I think he's got a lot to prove to himself, along with, you know, facing the Eagles twice a year now. I think he's going to want to, what we say, payback or revenge or whatever the hell we want to call it. But it's going to be what you were talking about earlier. Can he be that guy to be there? And I still don't think he could.
I don't think so either. In fact, I'm happy he's back because I feel like that the Eagles will probably catch more passes from him now.
Exactly.
I hope you're wrong.
Well, and that's how many quarterbacks are the now Commanders are going to get literally sloppy seconds from the Eagles? I mean, wasn't it McNabb and now?
Yeah.
It goes much further back.
Really, like who?
Yeah, it's Sonny Jurgensen.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Although he wound up being a Hall of Famer.
I was gonna say.
So
He
that
was one that
actually didn't go
worked.
well for the Eagles.
Right.
But ever since then, they've tried that a number of times, and
I
failed.
hate it.
I actually thought you guys were going to get one throughout the draft. Let me ask you guys this: where do you think Malik Willis is going to go?
Pittsburgh.
No,
even after they picked up
Trubisky. With Trubisky?
Yeah.
No, I disagree. So I think he's going to go to the Saints.
Well, now I don't know if you guys heard the latest and greatest,
What about
but
Watson?
John Watson.
Yeah, they're in talks with Watson right now.
Right,
The
I heard
Saints
that.
and
Carolina.
Panthers.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they turned down Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like that everybody's trying to give out 1,000 things. Well, you had to turn down Indianapolis because they don't have a first-round pick for like 18 years.
No, the Houston Texans won't even allow the conversation to happen.
Right.
Yeah, they denied it.
Same division.
Yep.
So, and how much truth was it to the rumor that the Washington football team called every NFL team about their quarterback?
I mean,
About Heineke?
No,
about
quarterback on the roster.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was said it was true. So
Okay, I don't know. Like I don't necessarily believe everything I read on the internet.
yeah, I mean, I heard it too, and I was like, I don't know about that, but
well, you look at the situation that Denver fell into with Russell, and it's because the Broncos had a backup quarterback that could start right away for the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
Washington didn't. I think that's one of the reasons that whole deal just went away was because Washington didn't have that backup quarterback that was able to start on day one, kind of, unlike Drew Lock.
Right.
So I think that's why that fell through. And I mean, because they were giving away the real estate.
Wait.
Well.
But time out though. You're right, because Denver gave up 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s. You're right. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking Seattle. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, because Seattle benefited. I believe. And, it depends on how those draft picks work out.
What do you think? Do you think that was too much?
Oh, God, yes. 2 number 1s and actually, it was like 5 picks, wasn't it? It was it 2 number 1s, 2
3
number
players,
2s, and like a number 5, and then
A tight end, a quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, they gave up way too much.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And
I give
so
away
I spoke with
4
somebody
years left. Maybe.
And I spoke with somebody who said, actually, my brother, who's a pretty good football knowledge, says that, of course, like they're going all in to try to win a Super Bowl right now, especially because they're for sale. And that they raised the price of the team $300 million because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's crazy.
One player, yeah, $200 million.
But let me ask you this question though, guys. I want John's opinion. Is it more dumb to gamble on the Broncos, or would you hate to be the guy that bought Tom Brady's last touchdown pass
for
$500,000?
Yeah.
See, but now that guy actually has some recourse.
Does he?
He should.
Yeah, I don't. I think he's trying to sell a used football that Tom Brady threw. I don't think he's going to make any profit off of that.
I think Denver. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd have to go with the guy with the football.
Well, of who's the you would rather not be the guy with the football, right? Yeah. Now that's a bad day. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the guy had $500,000 to spend on a football.
Yeah.
Truth of the matter is that Tom should
he's not
sign it.
hurting.
Tom should sign it, and that just goes right into his collection and be like, this is the first time Tom Brady threw his last touchdown.
That's the first time.
First time.
This is his first to last. You know.
Well,
because truth of the matter is that as of right now,
first.
it's still his last touchdown pass. He may get hurt in preseason and never play again. So
true.
ultimately, I mean, as of right this second, that still has some value, even though it looks like less. And I never thought that Tom Brady was going to retire. I also thought that this was a ploy on him to try to get traded, because now by him coming back, that actually screws Tampa a little bit. They don't have any money for anything.
Yeah.
Well, because he said, "Let's go."
Yeah. Well, he
I
said,
don't know where they're going
"Let's
to the
go."
bank or
That's what
to.
he said. You know, to be fair, Tom Brady was at home for 6 weeks, and then he was like, "Fuck these kids, I'm out." He's like, "I'm gone."
Well, you know, and I think about
Might have
that.
been the gas prices.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Gas
That's what
prices.
it was.
And I think about that like with Jason Kelsey. Same thing with Jason Kelsey. Like Jason Kelsey's probably one of the best centers in the league. And, you know, he was ready to retire, or at least he was talking about retiring. Truth of the matter is that he's ready to become a dad. And you want to become a dad when the kid is ready to become a kid. Not, you know, and not that a 2 and 3 year old isn't a kid, you know, but they're a baby as far as I'm concerned. When they start to go to school, they become a kid. And that's when they're going to start to become in athletics and stuff like that. And that's when you want to start to get involved as a father. And I feel like his kids are still a little too young for that. And that's the same way with Jason Kelsey. Jason Kelsey is ready to become a dad. However, his daughter is too young right now, you know, and when she gets old enough to start playing in sports, that's when he's going to want to be the proud papa, I think. And I kind of felt the same way about Tom Brady, you know, like just, I know his kids are a little bit older, but from what I understand, they're more like her than him. And, you know, if that's the case, I don't necessarily need to see my son walking down a runway.
You know, to be fair, I would hate to be the son of Tom Brady. I mean, and the only reason why I say that, the amount of pressure that Joe Montana kids got are playing, you know, college ball, and you know they weren't as successful for whatever the case may be, but to be Tom Brady's son, yeah, I just, you know,
imagine being the fourth Manning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Still in high school, ready to go to college.
And they're saying he's better than Peyton and Eli. They say he's better than both of them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think. Wait a minute. Breaking news. The Manning son. What is his name? Archie.
No,
Archie's the
dad.
Well, who's the kid's name? I can't read his name. No, the kid that just he just threw another touchdown pass. I'm just saying.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, that just went over the. Never mind. It's one of those grenade jokes. You got to pull the pin and just let it wait for it to explode.
Plus you didn't have the good punchline.
I didn't, because I forgot his name midway.
Got to work on it. Got to work on it.
You know what? It's all about preparation and timing. I'll be ready for it next week.
Yeah. All you got is preparation H.
Yeah. Hey, that Wentz thing I said at the beginning of the show, that worked. That worked.
So, anyways, that there was a signing, you know, besides a trade from Wentz, and you know, obviously nobody's going to go on the Cowboys now, because I know that they were talking to what's his face from Seattle, who wound up getting dropped. And
Wagner. They didn't pick up Wagner.
They did not pick up Wagner. Wagner did not get signed. Probably because he's still out there. But yeah, from what I understand, they only have $5 million under the cap. You know, and if he wants $5.2 million, then you're screwed. So, I mean, that's kind of how I thought about it with that. But the Eagles happened to sign today Hassan Reddick, which means that you guys could probably get back the guy that we got for you guys last year, in Washington. I know you guys were really upset. I know that Chris was really upset when we got him.
I was really upset. Chris gave me shit.
his shirt's right behind you, by the way. I forgot to.
Yeah.
So you guys could have him back.
Yep.
I mean, he did have 2 good games.
Yeah.
But we needed a real edge rusher, and and this guy's from home. You know what I mean? He's from Camden, so played for Temple. So he's used to playing in the Link. And now he gets to come back home. And I feel like that when somebody gets to play for their hometown team, that there is something that's said for that. Like that he will almost become the face of the Philadelphia Eagles fan base.
Next to you.
Well, yeah, like I said, not he won't be like a fan, but he will be like the beloved son, so to speak. Because he grew up as an Eagles fan,
Rocky
and
Jr.
now he will be
almost Victor Cruz like. Because Victor Cruz, he's from New York. He played in New York.
Was he?
Yeah, won a Super Bowl in New York.
Right.
And
but I don't know. I was a lot younger then. I'm older than that now.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
I don't know. Today there's been a lot of movement going on of the free agency, and I think it's still not done, of course. But the backup quarterback situation, I think is going to be what comes to mind for a couple of these teams.
Well, Miami got one today.
Rush.
Yeah.
Right. Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Yeah,
and I keep hearing the Colts are talking to Mariota.
Yeah, he's still somebody that's not picked up.
Yeah.
So I kind of believe that. I keep hearing rumors also that there are a lot of rumors about Fletcher Cox.
I heard that one too, to Pittsburgh, right?
I've only heard that there are rumors going around about him and Gardner Minshew and now Andre Dillard, which I thought that Andre Dillard is. See, yes. So I'm going to put this up there, but Andre Dillard, I think will deserve a second round or possibly even a first round pick because he was a first round pick and he's still a good offensive tackle. So I think that like somebody like Cincinnati with the 32nd pick could trade for Dillard as they need help as best they can, on the offensive line. But from Ed, does Brady get his roster bonus since he came out of retirement? And I think that was part of the reason why he came out of retirement for this.
Oh, shoot. How much was it? I forgot. You know what? They said it on the news, and I completely overlooked it.
So, yes, he would get that roster bonus for coming out of retirement.
Yeah, because all he had to do was be with the team after this date.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's the 16th. The 16th. So there still is 2 more days for them to drop him or whatever. Because they said specifically, I know that the Eagles are not going to re-sign Alex Singleton, and that after the 16th, he's going to become a free agent. He's not a free agent now. However, it's going to be once the new season starts, which is the 16th.
Yeah, so that cuts in tremendously to the salary cap for them. So
yeah, and is it he thinks it's 15.
Okay, I could have to double check that. Now I found out today that the New York Football Giants have moved on from Evan Ingram. Yep. He signed with the Jaguars, a 1-year deal.
Did that break your heart?
Yes and no. He's back in Florida because I'm sorry. He went. I keep thinking he went to Florida, but he went to Ole Miss. I don't know why I keep thinking Florida. But no, not really. I still believe he's going to have that breakout game. Now it's going to have to be with Goldilocks. I can't think of his name right now. Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Shout out Goldilocks. And I don't mean by Trevor Lawrence. But anyway, I still believe he's going to be that top-rated tight end in the league. It's just something else holding him back.
So
Yeah, not for us.
that then
Not for
brings
us.
me to a thought process that makes me think that is it possible that they would trade Daniel Jones to Seattle for Font and first or second round pick and go after a quarterback with the 5th and 6th pick?
I don't know that for sure, but I'll tell you what, if that GM calls Shane and be like, hey, we'll give you our 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s.
Well, no, I don't. Come on now. Let's be real. Daniel Jones ain't worth the number one.
I'm just saying.
Come on,
you know, Shane would be an
come
idiot
on.
not to take that. No, I don't think they're going to move on from Daniel Jones. Look, I'm going to be fair. The way that the owner, the GM, and the coach were talking about him, I don't see that happening. There was a false report saying that the Giants and the Broncos were in competition with Russell, but then that turned out to be false. There was no way, shape, or form that they were going to give up that much for Russell Wilson. Somebody tweeted that out, and some people ran with it, but then people understood the reputation of the person that tweeted that out. So
yeah,
there was no validity of it.
Hey, man, I got so I'm in the middle,
and it was Jones and Saquon. So
yeah, so I got something in the middle of my arm wrestling tournament that said it came from Adam Schefter, and literally, like I stopped the broadcast of the arm wrestling tournament because I thought it came from Adam Schefter, and of course I got duped. But it said that the Eagles traded Jalen Hurts, Jalen Reagor, and multiple number 1s for Deshaun Watson, and I'm like, really they did this? And I'm like, I know we're talking about arm wrestling, guys, but for all my Philly sports guys people, this just came across me as from Twitter from Adam Schefter, because it said Adam Schefter, but of course I'm only seeing it on the top of my phone, not actually going on to Twitter because I was in the middle of a broadcast, and that did not work. But however, what I thought is that if the Giants were really willing to give up with their 5th and 6th round pick and Daniel Jones for Russell Wilson, that would have been viable. 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s are great, but like, what are they at? 13 this year, and then next year, who knows where they're going to be at? Because I mean that division's a really strong division, but I still expect that the Broncos are going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think that the Raiders have gotten any better. In fact, I feel like they've gotten worse, in the grand scheme of things. But that's still probably the strongest division in football right now, is the AFC West. So, doing that, so you're getting a 5th and a 6th this year, and a viable quarterback who's probably a little rested right now because he didn't get to play. Well, he didn't play the last few games because you had the neck playing. To go after Russell Wilson. However, Russell Wilson didn't want to go to New York.
yeah, he did.
I heard that he did not.
No, we were actually we just didn't want him. So even if he did or didn't want to go, we didn't want Russell. So it didn't matter.
That's a lot of real estate to be given away.
I heard his wife. I heard his wife didn't want to go to New York.
Oh, and now we're talking about Sierra, which shoot. She'd be taking that 2-step over she'd be like, level up. Oh, yeah, no, she'd want to go to New York. Because it would definitely be. No, let me stop.
I laughed at that one little guy who pushed Russell Wilson.
Pushed Russell. I saw that.
Yeah.
That was funny.
It was on Instagram. He pushed out. He's like, no, Russell, you stay out of this picture. I'm just taking a picture with her. That cracked me up. That's kind of funny. But anyways, so I literally, with the draft 6 weeks out, and things are happening, I can imagine that, that's why I think that Daniel Jones has a chance to.
Oh, someone actually he said he didn't want to go to New York.
He did not want to go to New York.
Well, yeah, I heard opposite. I mean, and again, this was.
The problem is that we ain't talking to him, so it doesn't matter what we're hearing because it's all third hand and fourth hand and fifth hand.
Well, I'll call him up and ask him. I'm like, look here, dog. What did you want to do?
He ain't talking to no Giants fan from Dallas.
He'll talk to me.
You might have been better off being in Denver. You know what I mean? Being a Giants fan in Denver,
see,
let
the
alone
thing
Dallas.
is, what you don't know, Mr. Philly guy, is that him and we locked eyes when he was on that parade during that Super Bowl parade. I was there. Even though he looked at me, I was looking at that trophy. That's all I was looking at. So I was there.
He was saying, "Damn,
Decked out in Giants
big boy.
gear,
That
too,
is a
baby.
big boy down
Yes,
there."
he did. Yes, he did. He said,
And he was-
"Keep
he
this
was
thing
just kinda-
going. Keep the convoy. Do not stop."
He might eat me.
And the fact that there was a myth, he'd be talking about you. He'd be talking about you.
Now, if he was talking about me being a big boy, then that's a whole different story.
Well,
We're having a whole different conversation now.
Because he saw the way you tore up that Oreo cake, and he's mixed.
I didn't have an Oreo
You
cake.
was
That
like-
was your son.
No,
so you keep talking about that.
You
I did
didn't
not.
have it all. You
I did
had
not have
you
the
had
Oreo cake at all.
dessert.
No, I did not. I had the
Oh.
cobbler.
Oh,
And
the
I didn't eat it
cobbler, the
there,
peach cobbler.
and I didn't eat it there. It wasn't peach. It was a raspberry cobbler.
Was it
and-
okay?
Because I don't eat peaches, And your son ate both. He ate the Oreo one, and then your Oreo, and then they took the one that you bought to take home. He ate that one
Yeah,
too.
he stole all three. Don't worry, he's still being punished. He's still sleeping outside. And I got a new spot too. Oh my God, I got the hiccups. I got a new spot for all of us next time we come down.
There's always new spots. They're
Always.
always popping up. They're always popping up in Dallas somewhere.
And I'm gonna tell him too. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Sullivan." I'm like, "Terry, look, this one dude coming from Philly. He said your brisket ain't nothing. So keep it coming. Keep it coming."
Yeah, the never-ending brisket plate. The never-ending brisket plate. That's what I want. I want you get somebody to sponsor us to have the show in their place. 3 live, and then we just get pork
Terry would love us to be there.
Free food. I ain't paying for food.
I don't know about free food. We got.
Well, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Then
we can't do
this is a top-notch show.
True Blue,
we get watched.
True Blue,
we are watched.
You pay for Philly. You pay for Philly.
We are watched by some of the best people. Everything we say here today is going to be repeated by Stephen A. tomorrow.
Yeah, it'd be blasphemous. He had the nerve to put Stafford and Eli in the same breath. He should be. That hairline need to be slapped back 5 more inches for him even saying what he said. I swear.
And Quick Stern, go ahead and put your question up there. You don't have to raise your hand down there. You can go ahead and just ask your question, and I'll post it once you have it. So, yeah, he's like, I got a question. I'm like, okay, well, I'm calling on you. There you go.
Shoot away, Quick Stern.
So does that obviously? So like I said, the Cowboys are hurting under the cap. I know that they cleared away 20,000 people just to be able to get $5 million under the cap. So what happens now in terms of their draft? What do you think their needs are in the first round, first and second rounds?
I'm still going offensive lineman. Leo Collins is still being, he's out there looking for around another team to be playing with. So I think if he gets on the outbound, definitively, I can say we're going to get an offensive lineman, depending if anything else happens off in the trade. So it could be an equal trade. It could be a trade for profit of cap space. But in the scheme of things, I think we're going to go offensive lineman in the first round.
Okay. And Mr. Quick Stern, who raised his hand, is asking,
he's calling on pork rind.
Is Carson Wentz going to help the Commanders?
Of course he's going to help the Commanders.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Hey. I mean, he threw 4,000 yards to he threw 4,000 yards last year.
Come on, make it good.
He didn't even have a receiver over 500 yards last year. So he's coming to Washington where we
you have an Eagles fan coming to your
We all think that's a great addition.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I hope you're right.
And then Jared Reed stops in and says, "Hey, he's bringing up old men like John Feliciano."
Love the Beards. NFC East owns my Bills Super Bowl. Sneaky G Man, what's your thoughts on who? Signing
John
for
Feliciano.
hold on a second. Yeah, he's solid. I mean, he's gonna. It's right now in the free agency. What we're doing is what we should have done last year, and got depth in the O-line position. In the beginning of this, I think our center got hurt, and then Gates got hurt. This is just building depth. We're still going to get an O-line. I know Danny asked a question: do we still go O-line in the draft, even though Sean is slowly addressing the O-line in free agency? Yes, I think we should. The Giants should get rid of Daniel Jones. No. Sneaky G-Man, why are the Giants so bad? That is the $1 million question. Because Gettleman, I'll tell you right now, Gettleman wanted weapons, not protection. That's why we were so bad. Oh, and we had Mike Glennon. We had Mike Glennon and Fromm.
The neck.
The neck, a.k.a. the neck. It should be called the donut hole, because that's how many wins he got in Jacksonville and in the Giants.
Dalton Schultz. I see your question there, Dave. He's tied up with the franchise tag right now, so I don't know what kind of deals are being made, but it's a $10 million hit. And if anything, they'll be looking for 2 number ones if somebody wants to trade for him.
Yeah, nobody going to want to trade for him. Not this year. That's the problem. That was the one issue that I kind of saw, is that this year, both in the draft and just in free agency, there's a tremendous amount of tight ends that were out there. So now, obviously, the same thing, like where we're talking about, Ingram just signed with Jacksonville, and Font is up there in Seattle, which I think they're going to try to trade too, because I don't think they need him. I know that Ertz re-signed with Arizona for 3 years, $31 million, which was good for him. Bum does not have an extra B in it, just by the way. Wentz is a B-U-M, not a B-U-M-B. That's dumb.
The offseason, I think this coming May is going to be interesting with the locker rooms, after the draft. The quarterbacks are going to know who they got there to be throwing to, who's going to be protecting them. I think May and June is going to be fun to see what else is done to try and get these teams going. Because I don't think the draft is no way going to heal any wounds that we have right now for the foreseeable future. I think with the amount of picks we got, I just don't see it healing our team. I think we've got to do a little bit more in this free agency market when it opens up.
I do point something out. It was just brought to my attention, but the fact that Blake Martinez took a pay cut, they restructured his deal, and also Sterling Shepard. I think more so Sterling Shepard feels as though he has something to prove. Injuries, it happens, it's part of the game, but he's going to get back on the field, and he's going to do some good things. He is definitely going to do the damn thing, I believe. Shep is. Well, Blake, I mean, he had that injury last year. I know he's going to come back and do some good stuff. So I'm glad that those guys stepped up to the plate, and they didn't have any other choice. Either, take the pay cut or get released. So, and I'm hearing that Bradbury's on the trading block now. And Saquon, sees the direction of this regime, if you will, and far as I know, he has yet been given a vote of confidence, if you will, about his role as far as on the team. I don't know if that's changed since last week, since we've talked, or since Thursday. But it's going to be really curious to see where Saquon, although I do believe he's going to be playing with us next year.
Real quick, for all the people over on TikTok who think that I should be at the Sixers game and instead doing the show, Pork Rind, you're watching the game, correct?
I am.
What's the score?
It is 107, 103 Denver.
107, 103 Denver.
Yep.
Okay, so you're even far behind telling me it's 103, 103 and tied up. Thank you.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Anyways, I just had to. I get hate from everywhere. It's like I can never do anything right. The fact that I'm not at the game tonight, I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like I don't go to every game that there ever is all the time. You know,
Sell out.
I was I was surprised by it too.
Yeah. So and it's like I like they even asking me like, hey, so you're going to go down to Birmingham to watch the USFL games?
I saw that.
Oh, they're going to fly me down there to Birmingham? I mean, I don't even. I said they got to send me a jersey first before I go do anything else like that. You know what I mean? And I'll be more than happy to go and support them. You know what I mean? They want me there on that wall. They want me on that wall. They need me on that wall. They just haven't reached out to me yet.
On that level.
I think
Exactly.
I think it's awesome that they're doing it in a concentrated environment. I don't know if that's just something that they probably foreseen because of the pandemic, or
No.
Or
It's done
this
for
is
money
just something
reasons.
how
It's absolutely done for money reasons because think about the biggest problem that the USFL had in the last season was that the vet pulled the rug out from underneath the Stars, and the Stars had to move to Baltimore mid-season. Now, in the midst of all that, they still won the championship, which was great. But besides that, it was, they started out in Philadelphia, and then, the Eagles, became more of a challenge with them because they worked around the Philly schedule, but then the Eagles started to get involved. Like, oh, well, we're going to do something on this Sunday. So, and they started to really screw with them a little bit. They didn't want that to happen this year. They didn't want the NFL to start to get involved because the NFL could get involved and pull rank.
Well, I'm not too familiar with the USFL. I mean, I could double check, but didn't they try to compete with the NFL towards like one of the last season?
That they were going to try to move to September. And
Yeah,
that was what kind of did it. And then ultimately, see, that was never going to work.
No.
Ultimately, they tried to do it. They tried to do something like the AFL did. Like they wanted to be the opposite so that the NFL would have to swallow them up.
Which happened. Which happened.
Well, they swallowed up the people. They didn't swallow up the teams.
Yeah.
And that was what they were trying to do.
They definitely, I mean, what I'm saying, oh, you mean like the merger.
Right.
Yeah, the teams were there. The players moved, the teams didn't.
Correct. So they wanted to get
up. I'm thinking they took over.
No, they wanted to be able to like Birmingham and San Antonio and like Houston. Houston had the team, the USFL team, and they were having a hard time with the Oilers. So actually, they were going to try to combine those two teams. Like that was the thought process of the USFL originally. They were talking about having two Philadelphia teams that they thought this city of all cities were going to be able to handle two NFL teams similar to New York and Los Angeles. So that was kind of the thing. They wanted to be able to expand, and that they wanted to, by the end, have 48 teams in the NFL.
Oh.
Now, think about that in the grand scheme of things. That's a massive league. You know, and things would have happened. So you go backwards in time and think about how that would have occurred. You would have wound up having an 18-game schedule. You would have wound up having a lot of things that would have happened because of that. Because you have 48 teams. How do you weed down all of that? And then ultimately, then you got like places like San Antonio. Is San Antonio really going to be able to handle a team? Birmingham, Alabama, I can believe would handle a team, but it would have taken a big chunk out of Alabama. So not Alabama, because I know that Alabama is in Tuscaloosa.
Advocate here. Can you imagine? And this was like early 80s, right? The league was in
83, 84, 85.
Okay, so those 3 years. Just imagine if they just played their role after the football season, right? They played their role, stayed where they were at, I mean, would they have lasted? I'm curious how long they would have lasted. I mean, for example,
Not
look at the
long.
Arena League. Well, no, hold on. Look at the Arena League, right? I mean, they went from mid 80s up until what, 6 years ago, they finally folded, 4 to 6 years ago. It's just the thought of, the mistakes that they made of trying to compete. You can't compete with the NFL. There's no way, shape, or
You
form.
can't now. You can't now because NFL is too big to fail.
I'm
But
saying
if-
in the 80s, you couldn't even do it
Yeah.
in the 80s.
If you want, in the 80s you could. In the 80s you could because they were smart on how they did it. They put money into these teams right away. They spent the money on the players. I mean, really, the USFL was the reason why these $1 million contracts came into play.
Steve Young.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
financially they had, and that's also what led to the strike in '88. But what I'm saying is, in the '80s, the NFL, you could not compete with the NFL because the USFL folded because they tried to compete with the NFL.
Well, they put so much money. They put so much money into trying to break the antitrust law.
Right.
That was what it really came down to, and they lost. So, I mean, truth of the matter is, if you wanted to try to do something right now in Major League sports, if you wanted to try to start a Major League, league in general, somebody could do it with baseball. Absolutely, somebody could start a new baseball league, and you wouldn't need to do it with a lot of teams. You could go in there, and if you had the money, like if you now we're talking about billionaire players, but billionaire players could come in and start a new baseball league, and it would shut down Major League Baseball. I think Major League Baseball is a mess.
Well,
And
yeah, I think
this whole thing was, it had nothing to do with the players. It had nothing to do with the fans. It had all to do with the owners.
and
it
money.
was owners, big owners crying, little owners crying about big owners, and that's what this was. So when you're playing in that type of arena, ultimately, and they tried to make it look like it was about the players. It was nothing to do about the players. The players were fine. It was the owners of Kansas City and Cincinnati and Milwaukee crying about the fact that they can't compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox and even
also,
the Phillies crying.
They didn't want to pay the minor league players that were coming up, trying out during the spring league. Did you hear about that? They wanted to change the name of those players to trainees, so they didn't have to pay them. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
But they're not paid. They're not paid by the Major League Baseball teams.
Well, apparently,
they're paid.
Now
The two-way contracts are some of the two ways.
Right. But there is some kind of stipend or some kind of payment that they get from the minor leagues, because if they're in New York, they're staying in those hotels. They're getting that from what I could be mistaken. I'm just going off of what I read or what I've heard in discussion, and the fact that they bumped up the minor, or what are the minimum wage, 500 million to 700 million, or 550 to 700 million?
550,000 to 640, or maybe went up to 700,000.
Yeah, went up
not
to
700 million. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I meant 700,000. I'm sorry. That's wishful thinking, because Nick would be playing baseball for a minimum of 7 million.
Right.
So, but anyways, not to get off of that, but like I said, that's what could have happened had they stuck to their grounds a little bit and stopped trying to compete for the locations. That was the problem. That was the locations. That was the issue. That, we have the right to play here too. Well, they didn't have the right to play here because most of the owners, the Phillies owned the Vet. So the Phillies are the ones that really had the control of that location. That was why it was a big deal. That was why it was a big deal when Norman Brayman was threatening to move the Eagles out, and Jeffrey Lurie wound up purchasing them. The first order of business was to build their own stadium, and then the Phillies had to follow suit in the process of that too. So, But anyways, this hour kind of went by really quick, and we didn't even
Real
get to
quick.
talk about a lot of draft stuff. So we'll have to go back. We got 5 more weeks to talk about it, though. So it's not
Yeah,
like
there's
we're going
a
anywhere
lot of
fast.
movement.
To be continued next
That we
week.
do.
Lots of movement in the draft.
So definitely, everybody, next week, definitely follow us on Monday at 9 p.m. as always. And we're getting very, very close to our 1-year anniversary. So everybody, until next week,
Let's go,
go,
Giants.
How about them Cowboys?
Ow!
go Birds.
Go Commanders.
Yeah.